Well, greetings and salutations, one and all. Back again is Career Retrospectives right here on the Super Review Show Network. I am joined by the esteemed panel of panelists here. All we do is talk music here. Mr. Kyle and Mike, how are you both doing tonight?
Yo,
Doing all right.
yo,
Oh, we're good.
got it.
I guess we can finally put a period after that sentence, right? So, as the title of this podcast suggests, alludes to whatever. On July 4th, 2025, celebrating America's independence, of course, we had a release by Kesha. TikTok herself released an album called Period on Friday, July 4th, and we're finally reviewing it here on Career Retrospectives. Kyle's like, yeah, let's do Kesha. We're like, okay, sure. And then sure enough, I mean, we're gonna get into all of our stuff in a second, but this was a trip for me at least. I mean, I'll go first and I'll share my background with Kesha and stuff like that if that's okay with you, gents.
Go for it.
My experience with Kesha, I when she first came out, her song TikTok was everywhere. It was all over the radio, all of her. So it was different. Like Instagram was just kind of kicking on, and it was everywhere. And she's kind of made like a small comeback over the course of her career a little bit. She never really was an album person for me. But I mean, I liked the couple of singles that she released back in like 2009, 2010, even 2012 with like her song "Die Young." That's a pretty heavy club bop song kind of thing. And but outside of like a few songs, I really never listened to a full album by hers. And that's, I mean, for some people out there, you're probably saying, how could you do such a thing? But she just was never one that I could really dive into as an album artist. And that's just my personal preference and taste with her and whatnot too. So listening to Kesha's Period, which came out on July 4th, when we said we were going to do this, I said, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm sure I knew it was going to be pop, but I didn't know how deep we'd go into electro pop or even some like some a lot of dance music here and there. So very heavy pop stuff here. When we get into the album in a second, but that's my initial like my take on her as an artist. I know she's currently on tour. I can't say what the tour is called because I want to keep our show PG-13 for a reason. But if you're out there, you've seen her on tour, you probably know what the tour is called. um, I'm not gonna say it because we're trying to keep it PG-13 for a reason. But yeah, she's out on tour right now. If you have a chance to go see her, enjoy that. Whatever, go see her. Whatever. Always support live music. But that's kind of my background with Kesha. I mean, I never really got into her like fully, but I know Kyle loves Kesha. After all, he
I
told me.
do. I do love Kesha. I think Kesha is one of the underappreciated pop artists of the early 2010s. I think all of her albums up through Rainbow, I think were absolutely incredible pop records. The dance pop of the first couple albums, and then Rainbow being her more serious singer-songwriter effort with some like pop rock tunes thrown in there. Those are all very, very well done, great albums. And after that, she's been very hit or miss, with her last album being very experimental and just not my thing. So going into this, I was like, all right, what do we got? It's, again, kind of in the same style of when she released Rainbow, and was like, that was her not return to form, but like her, freeing moment on that. This is kind of, I guess we're back to that after like all the Dr. Luke stuff going on. So, going into this, I was excited for it. And ultimately what we got, honestly, kind of a mixed bag of music here that, we'll get into when we talk about it, but a bit of a return to form and a bit of experimentation. So definitely an interesting listen.
I know that Mike absolutely is the biggest Kesha fan on the planet.
Honestly, I could confuse her with any of the other like just random pop artists that kind of just made their showcase, and when they came out with like their big song, then they had their serious moments, and then like other than that, I have no clue about her. I knew of her song "Praying" from an ex that shall not be named, as well as maybe one other song. Uh, but other than that, I knew the TikTok song or whatever. Uh, Overall, she's just been like musically in my world, not something I'm gonna seek, because of just there's a lot of cringe that comes along with her uh, persona. These types of artists that have these kind of I'm the baddest one in town. I'm the biggest, like she uses a word in this entire album that I will go into later that just continuously just shows off her massive IQ. But like yeah, like she just really has a persona that doesn't rub well with me. Kyle knows I do not like fun in pop music, and that is I stand by that. And I will die on that hill. So I'll go into more what I think about the album and whatnot, but not my area of expertise, unless you're going to take that persona and you're going to do something that's going to wow me and it's going to weird me out, or it's going to do some interesting things and some twists and turns and some, like he said, experimentation that actually is risky and does something that like really captivates me, which has been done before in the past. It's rare, but a pop artist can sometimes intertwine the world of experimentation and blending of music genres and lots of weird things that could actually end up sitting well with me in the world of like predictable music. So not to say that automatically you're disqualified if you have a I'm the baddest girl in town persona. So just want to put that out there and not like automatically disqualify.
All right, that's our background on Kesha. Let's dive into this album, shall we? I have the Wikipedia page pulled up on it, and we could always go to our. I mean, let's. I'm gonna jump back over to Kyle for a sec because Kyle is he is I could just tell he has much more experience with her as an album artist than I do, and I only know like hit singles by her. So I guess what were some of your standout tracks for for period, buddy, and what were your takeaways from it as well?
Takeaways, we're going to talk positives first here. The thing this album does well is when she goes to those more return to form style tracks of more of her early days of writing like fun dance pop music. One song that really grew on me that was released, I believe, last year initially was Joyride, which absolutely hated this track when it came out. Now it's really grown on me. I actually find it to be very fun. The lyrics are absolutely horrendous, as are most of the lyrics on this album. I would venture to say almost this entire album lyrically is awful. Having said that, it's fun. It has a Weird Al meets Lady Gaga vibe to it that shouldn't work, but kind of does in a strange way. Uh, Yippee-Ki-Yay, another standout here. There's a version of this with T-Pain as well, which I kind of prefer the version without T-Pain, which is strange because I actually really like T-Pain. I think he usually generally adds to anything he's featured in. That one, again, fun. It needs to do a little bit more with the just the instrumentation behind it, other than just the constant like stomp clap of the chorus going on. And then my last real standout is actually Red Flag. This one was very interesting. Probably the closest to that early work that she's done, but also just like the interesting electronic bass hits going on here. I enjoyed that. It does go a little bit on the long and repetitive side for what it is. Again, terrible lyrics, fun song. That's what I could say for the first half of this album for the most part. Uh, Boy Crazy, I wouldn't call it a standout, but it just goes to show that some of the best songs here were the singles. And that's all I'll say on on that part for now. But this album shines in areas where it's her going back to what she knows how to do, experimenting slightly, but nothing too crazy. Uh, and just kind of doing the Kesha thing. It's a fun. These are fun songs. The ones I've talked about, fun songs made to have fun and go out to the bars and just have a good time listening to.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Mike go last because I have a lot to say here too, buddy. I'm sorry. um, I have I mean I like I said, I never listened to Kesha album. I've never listened to like any of her albums. So I was going in like completely blind in a sense with where she was coming from and stuff like that as far as albums go. But I mean, to I agree with you to some extent, my friend. With I agree with you actually 100% on the fact of that this is more, I think, more club music driven than lyrically, because the lyrics on nearly all of these, I almost had to stop my car, pull over, and look at the lyrics. Because like, what the hell am I listening to? I was actually intrigued about how bad and cringy the lyrics were. I mean, there's no defending it. But
And
that being
you don't go to Kesha for great lyrics, but I feel like
no,
this
of
album
course not.
more than others have been, especially given she's not the the young person she was when she put out those first 2-3 albums.
Actually, a fair point. I do agree with you on that. It's just, and I agree with you. You don't go to her music for lyrics. Like, you go to for like you go to the club. You want to dance around at a bar or even a huge club banger anthem like that. I could see like Boy Crazy or Yippee-Ki-Yay or even Joyride just being played in clubs and just being people going crazy, getting drunk, and I could just see it on my mind. And I'm like, oh my god! But at the same time, you just don't go for the you. In this case, if I were to recommend this album to anyone, I always say ignore the lyrics and just listen to the instrument. I almost wish it releases a second album with just the instrumentation, like just the actual music behind it, like the club beats and things like that, because that would be pretty cool. But unfortunately, like Boy Crazy, I was like, oh my god, she's actually singing about that. She's singing about that, and normally I know that that type of music is out there, but I just was like, what? I was like, I started laughing at one point. I was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" I literally had to stop what I was doing. Like, did she just say that? Did she just say that? I'm just not in that world. I mean, as an artist though, like this was a trip though for me, man. You talk about periods. I was having a mind freeze every other song. It was going crazy. I'm kind of squirming in my seat as I'm doing this recording. So, but no, but honestly, I will say like there were a couple of really solid songs in here too. Like, I mean, I did not hear Joyride until the album came out. I didn't listen to the single, but man, it's hard. But like lyrically, like it's hard to pick out a standout track. I would say honestly, Yippee-Ki-Yay, or probably Boy Crazy. Actually, you know what? Cathedral has its moments. It's like very emotionally driven. A lot there. Like the last track on the standard edition, not the deluxe edition. But Cathedral has its moments there where I was like, oh, she's actually talking like from the heart and stuff like that, which or even too hard for that matter. But just as a lot of hit and miss on here for sure. But overall, I mean, it's if you're into this type of music where it's just club banging, like no lyrics, no deep lyrical meaning. That's what I was trying to say. Forgive me. No deep lyrical meaning behind it. This is totally your thing. If you want to go out and have a great time, like go in your car, go on the highway, go to a club, this is the kind of music to listen to. Is it my cup of tea? It has to grow on me a while to get to that point. But needless to say, though, I've never hated an album. Like we talked for a while. We talked about like Jordy like years ago, but like by Maroon 5, and we obviously all did not like that what happened whatsoever. But this is I would not put that in this category. I would say like, if this is your thing, great. If it's not your thing, it's probably definitely not going to be your thing. But no, it's a solid dance pop album, but lyrically, it threw me off a lot there. So again, as someone who just doesn't live in that world, it's just not my thing. But other than that, I will say I enjoy the instrumentation though. Like I said it before, I'm repeating myself at this point. You could see club people like DJs at clubs pulling out a couple of these tracks and be like, yeah, let's go to this track, put on Joyride, put on Boy Crazy, put on Yippee-Ki-Yay, and you'll have a great time at the club. You don't care about the lyrics because you're just listening to the song, the music behind it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But Mike has never been any happier to talk about an album on this show.
Oh God. Uh well, we're talking about standout tracks here. Right? Starting
Yeah.
off. So Cathedral. That's it. That is my standout track. It's the song that's the only song on the album that takes it serious. that feels like it wants to do a song that actually revisits one part of the song and flows along with it and builds and kind of has like a serious topic and to some degree, whether it comes off very self uh worshiping. um yeah, I don't know. There is a lot of that self worship on this whole album. And yeah, it's just so much. It's just hard to find a lot that fits into my idea of music. So yeah, but Cathedral is really the only track. Maybe, like I could agree to some extent. There's some like mid tempo or mid dance kind of stuff like Red Flag or Delusional. That kind of just was something I could listen to in the background, but like really would I ever listen to it actively? Not really. Just something I'd hear like maybe Walmart or something, or like the background to like a gas station, like Cheddar News, like getting my gas. You could
Pretty
listen
sure she
to.
does mention in one of these songs about writing a song that gets played all the time in Target. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, that's my only really standout track is Cathedral. So yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I mean that's so for those of you who are still with us, that's our standout tracks for Kesha's period. You wanted I forget I was on shall we jump over to our overall like impressions and ratings and stuff like that, and then we're good to go?
I got negatives to throw out here.
Yes, talk to me.
We got to get into that. For the few, I'd say about half the album, maybe slightly less, that I talked relatively highly about. This album is very misguided when it comes to the songs that were not singles. The non-single albums or songs on this album are not good, not great at all. Range from being mid-tier songs to flat-out bad songs. Freedom, starting the album, that 2.5 minute droning just intro needed to be a separate track. There's nothing I hate more than having to skip through 2 minutes of virtual, essentially almost silence and build up to get to a song.
Thank you.
Song could have been better if it was split up. I think it's a cool. I like what she was going for on this one. That cool like bouncy bass groove, kind of funky, has good things going for it. But the rhythm of the vocals is essentially just Guess by Charlie XCX that came out last year. It's essentially the same thing. Now then it goes into this choiry chorus that just lame, doesn't work. It contradicts everything else going on in the song. But that one, it's still not terrible. Where this album falls apart for me is after Red Flag, with the exception of like Boy Crazy being okay. Love Forever is a Daft Punk song. This is just a mid-tier Daft Punk song that felt like it was on the cutting room floor that never made it anywhere. Stays the same throughout the whole thing. The One feels like a rejected Katy Perry song. Super lame. And then the worst song here, and it's not even close. Glow is awful. There's just something about the lyrics on this one that I find incredibly infuriating. The lyrics and the vocal delivery I find to be incredibly just. It's not. I understand what she's trying to do and say, in that like, oh, I love myself now, blah blah blah. But I'm like, all right, we've gotten like 3-4 albums of this now, and this is just done in such like a bubblegum pop, but in a bad way song. Like this should be playing at like what's that store that like little kids buy, like girls
Oh,
buy
five
stuff at.
five below.
No. The one, not Forever 21,
Oh
not
boy.
Claire's. Do you remember when we were kids? Oh, was it Limited 2? That's like where all the girls would buy the stuff. I feel like this song would be playing at a store like that. Uh, it just the whole second half of the album. I see why a majority of the singles were not from this. And then Cathedral, Mike, I see what you're saying. My issue with it is that this is a concept and a song that she essentially might as well just copy and pasted from Praying, right down to the subject material, pretty much.
Why I like it.
Yeah. My problem with it, though, is that it was done much better on Praying.
Oh, no
Like, when I
doubt.
was listening to it, I was like, what was the point of this song when you already have another song in the same vein of this saying the exact same thing? So, it's a truly mixed bag of an album, which, you know what? Almost kind of a welcome surprise for this year. Because I feel like this year, most of the albums I've listened to have either been ones that I didn't like anything from, or like one song, or albums that have been like okay to good throughout. Finally, I'm like, wow, we finally got another album that's just hit or miss all the way through, half and half. Finally, something I can be interesting about. But overall, I think what she's trying to do here is almost in a way please her old fans by being like, look, I could still do this. I still have these raunchy lyrics, and I could still have the club hits, which cool. That's the Kesha I like. But then she's like, but look, I can also do this. You want Daft Punk? I could do that. You want Katy Perry vocals? I could do that too. And like, but that's not what I come to listen to Kesha for. And I feel like when she goes into those zones, it doesn't really work. Her experimentation's not always successful. That's my biggest problem with her last record as well. Suffered heavily from just failed experimentation.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said my 2 cents there a lot there. Mike, do you have anything else for this?
Yes. I like the serious stuff that she did, like the Gag Order album or whatever. And when I first heard this open, I was actually kind of like excited to see if she was taking like a real kind of like different approach. And I actually wrote this when I first, heard the song. But then, like, obviously I'm going to turn it towards a different direction. But I said the album opens with gentle melodies of distant piano keys playing hauntingly, building and gradually giving way to calming chants of an angelic lullaby. It builds to a powerful vocal display that's reminiscent of a hymn from the halls of a sacred church. The beautiful voice calls and chants into the emptiness, which could only be the great Kesha coming to bring back the seriousness of her career. Maybe continue to have that KESHA, no dollar sign, like the old days.
The dollar sign.
Yeah, she dropped. Well, I think she needs the dollar sign back, but because I feel like with this album, she's earned it, and I feel like she's truly embraced that dollar sign. Because what I thought was her grand opus, she was gonna be taken seriously and like praying or living in my head off Gag Order or like like in Rainbow some more like songwriter kind of like chops just quickly spiraled down the drain to awful, repetitive, just a pop album, terrible lyrics, just cringe fest. It felt like a smoke screen, like, hey, let me open up with this, and then bam, like literally in like Kyle nailed it on the head in the same song. It's almost like psych. Like Kyle's like, oh, we're back to like literally she says bitch, like excuse I'm gonna go ahead and say it like 10 times in like the first couple minutes of this album to just a vomit inducing degree. It is tough to get through this. It is my IQ went down a bunch of points during this, and you guys say we don't go to Kesha for lyrics. Do we go to Kesha for dance tunes either? I don't know. Like I feel like maybe some people do, but like I know a hell of a lot better dance tunes that in the club that would blow this out of the water. Maybe as a modern thing, maybe as a came out this year thing. But if I'm gonna just listen to something, it ain't gonna be this. But like, I mean, Yippee-Ki-Yay, my God, I can't. It was one of the most. I almost wanted to throw my laptop. I would be honest with you. Like, yeah, I flipped the game.
Joyride.
Oh, Joyride, just the lyrics are so bad, and the music is okay, but like the lyrics are just so bad. I can't even just deal with it. There were so many threes, twos, like Red Flag and Delusional were like fives on this, but like I thought the Katy Perry reject song was Delusional. To be honest with you, it actually kind of reminded me of a Katy Perry reject song. Yeah, Boy Crazy Oi, that was just tough. I mean, Glow, I agree, Kyle. That's right behind Yippee-Ki-Yay was Glow. Glow was like the stock beat, almost
Mhm.
talk singing, basic melody, unimpressive singing. The track, like, it just kind of shows that some of these songs really
It's a
low.
it is a 3.5 minute song where absolutely nothing happens.
Yeah, it's wild.
Insane.
Yeah, it was just, man, I was just like, I was expecting some real like blow you out of the water, like female kind of power vocal stuff, like that she can kind of like show her ability in the past. And I was hoping that like Cathedral wouldn't be the only song to kind of make this album some kind of a moment from the past release. And it's just like there is not one thing on this album that even has the same attitude as Cathedral throughout. Maybe like a moment of like one of these ones, I think it would have been Delusional, but like uh it's the only moment when you feel like it's not all about making a statement. It's about showing the emotion of a song. Most of it is there's not lack of emotion. It's just kind of like, I'm just the baddest girl in town, whatever kind of attitude that I told you I was not a fan of. So other than that, it's just real tough to find anything to take away from this album that like was like readily enjoyable.
Yeah, we're all kind of in a similar boat here. This is just a hot mess of a mixed bag, needless to say. I think we kind of all hit it on the head that this is just a very like the moment it started, I was like, you're right. That first 2 minutes of Freedom, I was like, that could be just like an intro piece right there. But like the moment it started, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? What's going on? It was
Yeah.
so questionable. So many questionable things. Should we jump over to our conclusion and rating, shall we, gentlemen?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll go first because I kicked it off today. Overall, I mean, look, Kesha is. I have never, like I said, I've never listened to an album of hers from start to finish until now. I enjoy a lot of the singles she released back in the early to mid 2010s, going to now the 2020s. But I'm not I'm not as big as a fan of her as Kyle is, because I know Kyle said before he's an underappreciated album artist of hers, fan of hers. I've never listened to a full album of hers until now, but so going to this, I had very like mid level expectations, if you will, just like, all right, let's give this a shot, and I was like, what in the hell is happening here? So, um, actually, there was even a time when I was listening to this, I said, that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 4. Like I was just like, oh my god, like, and it's just mainly because the lyrics were just so like dumpster fire lyrics. Unfortunately, I hate to say that because it's pop music, but what do you expect? So, but I'm not overall though. I'm sitting at like a 4, 3.5, going down a little bit more. Like if I want a 3.5 to a 4, somewhere in there for Kesha's period. This is just a hot mess for me. I mean, where it shines though, like with Cathedral, and where like the couple of singles that got released, those are the stronger points. But like but my God, like it's just not my thing. If this is your thing out there, great. If not, you give it a shot and judge it on your own merits. Do as you will. But yeah, I'm saying a 3.5 to a 4 out of 10 for Kesha's period. Kyle, the
Yeah, and
K
I'll
man.
go next because Kyle is the fan, so we want him to be the
Okay,
hero. He's going to be the hero who will most likely be the highest score. So,
we'll
uh,
see.
yeah, it's horrible lyrically. It has basic music uh ability in it, which allows it to remain from being an absolute 1 or 2. Because I feel like the only 1 or 2 I give are like music that just has literally doesn't begin, have a middle or end. It's so experimental, so abstract. It's so bad that it can't even maintain the rules of a song or the rules of like like Quedeca kind of would be something I find at times would like venture into that world where like you're not even sure what happened. It wasn't even a song, it was just noises and someone talking. Like you're just like, I don't get what that was. Well, this is just bad pop music, so it's just like JT kind of said, what do you expect? Pop music can be good, but also she kind of is in this trashy kind of genre where it's like almost trashy kind of the way she's talking, the way she's whispering, and the way she's kind of discussing things. It just brings into a trashy kind of like genre of like I mean Lady Gaga kind of like did dip into some of that with her last album, uh with the attitude. But I would say it's a 3.5. Like it literally is it's there's really no way to give it anything lower, but there's never a way to give it anything higher because it does what it does, and it doesn't really do anything else that surprises you besides Cathedral, like being a moment. But like Kyle said, it doesn't even surprise you because even half of Cathedral starts to turn weird. Like it starts off like very sentimental, emotional, and like building and kind of like uh powerful, and then it does some weird pop stuff in the end of Cathedral, which really made it hard for me to even go above a 6.57. So yeah, 3.5 is the best I could do for
All right. Well,
it.
yeah, if it wasn't for the singles, this is very on brand for her. If you like her brand, you'll like those singles. I enjoyed them. I thought they were relatively strong. Now, that's not to say they're nearly as strong as anything from any like the big songs from earlier in her career. But as a late, I don't want to say late career, but I mean it's been quite a while now. Uh, as a later career Kesha album, I think it's fine. I think it has its plenty of problems, and I think that she's still in this strange middle ground of trying to decide whether or not she wants to be that like goofy, raunchy dance pop artist or a serious singer songwriter. And I think she needs to figure that out because when she leans fully into one or another, her albums are great. When she does a weird mixture of both, which has been kind of her last couple of records from like High Road, Gag Order till now, it doesn't really work out for her. Uh, I think her songwriting peaked on Rainbow. I think every song on that album is a masterpiece. I think it was by far her best. Uh,
Kyle,
you
not to
know,
interrupt you, but dare I throw a wrench in the work and say what her producers want her to be? I mean, I hate to bring that in here, but they may be kind
well,
of like,
no, Mike,
hey,
this whole album is about her being free. So,
oh, of course, yeah, sure, all those names on those tracks and stuff,
mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
she's free, all right, but maybe
Songwriter.
they're like, look, you got to do this. It's what's cool right now, and then your next album's going to be a real serious like comeback. I feel like that might have been the case here, but I can't say for
Well,
sure.
it's very possible. I think that one of the issues with this is what producers listened to this and listened to some of them and said, yes, this is a cohesive piece of work, because it's not. It's not a cohesive work of art. It is a collection of songs that have no cohesive factor behind them. So with that, I don't think it's anything. It's not like a stain on her career or anything. I do think it's quite strange the amount of times that we've said the phrase Kesha's period throughout this
Oh God.
review here. But, you know, it's cool to have Kesha, still doing her thing and going back to being fun. Kind of missed that. So, I mean, for me, it's a 6.5. It's not great. It's not bad. It's good. I very much enjoy the songs that I like on it. And then the rest of it is either just mid-tier background music or one or two songs, but I put into that bad category.
Wow.
All righty. Well, that you heard it here first, guys. That's our ratings for this episode of Crew Retrospectives. Anything
We're
else, guys?
co-villains.
We're
Co-villains.
guys. Mike and I are co-villains tonight.
Yeah, what's up, co-villain?
Yeah, yo, co-villain. We're
Yeah.
collaborating on the villain front here. We want to thank you for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us, and I thanks so much for tuning into our podcast. As always, Kyle, the Q&A podcast is not back yet.
Nope.
I got
Might
you.
never be back.
Oh no! Well, let me know so I can stop saying this. Otherwise,
You could probably just stop for now.
okay. Q&A podcast is probably not coming back ever. Just letting you know, Kyle did a podcast for a little while with his friend Steven, and it's not coming back. Just giving you a heads up there. I plug it, but I had to do that. So there you go. Yeah, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for watching, listening to our podcast. However you enjoyed us. And I want to thank the two gentlemen, as always, for doing this podcast with me. Kyle and Mike, your musical knowledge is unmatched. Thank you, as always. And yeah, for all of us here at the Super Review shows, Career Retrospectives, please, out there, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
God bless.